Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from the Daily Caller. This is dated October 28th, and it is called There Are Monsters in Our Midst. And of course, I am going to hammer home the Israel Hamas thing as much as I can because it is something, as I've said a million times, is important to me being a Jew. And I read this article already. I read it last night from the time I'm recording this. Um, and I thought it was pretty profound. So it is an opinion article, as it's stated here. So I thought I would go into this because I thought it just was something that needed to kind of be said. So it says the week since the October 7th Hamas pogrom in Israel, in which pogrom, I guess it is in Israel, in which the most Jews were slaughtered in a single day than at any time since World War II, have seen an astonishing rise in global Jew hatred. One might have thought that the mass carnage and unspeakable barbarism of the Hamas Holocaust would instead galvanize a concerted pushback against Islamic jihadism, but it is the ancient scourge of anti Semitism, and not so called Islamophobia, that is once again the world's most politically correct and fashionable form of bigotry. So, and it says here, in every generation, they rise up to destroy us. Jews read in the Haggadah text every Passover, but the Holy One, blessed be He, delivers us from their hands. Now, less than 80 years since the defeat of Nazi Germany, today's Nazis, an Islamist Reich hell-bent on anew on Jewish genocide, rise up to try to finish what Hitler could not. Like their brown shirt forebears, the jihadists will fail. I'm not just thinking right now about that, like just seeing how many thousands of people all over the West are out in the streets marching for this, whether they're someone that supports Palestine or you're someone on the left that doesn't understand that given certain things you stand for, these people would gladly end you as well. It's just it's astonishing to me. Because our comfort in the Lord does not necessarily ameliorate the profound pain of the last few weeks, though. For many Jews, the appalling and disgusting mass demonstrations of support for the Hamas terrorists have been just as devastating as the October 7th pogrom itself. Says in Berlin, yes, Berlin. That's probably sounds like a familiar place to most people. Says the synagogue was firebombed. In Vienna, a one-time hub of Nazism, and that's why what I was kind of referring to with Berlin, the synagogue was attacked and vandalized. In Paris, a Jewish couple's apartment door was doused with gasoline and set on fire. In Los Angeles, a knife-wielding madman trespassed into a Jewish home while shouting, "Free Palestine." And yes, I saw that that guy was arrested, thankfully. Because at George Washington University in the nation's capital, student jihadists projected "Glory to Our Martyrs" onto the side of a school library. At Cooper Union, I think that's in New York. Oh, it says NYPD right after that. Okay, yeah, so it is New York. It says Jewish students were locked in a library by pro-Hamas student demonstrators banging on the doors. The NYPD had to evacuate the students via underground tunnel. In the heavily Muslim town of Dearborn, Michigan, Islamists thronged the streets while waving today's swastika, the so-called Palestinian flag, and shouting for extermination of the Jews of Israel from the river to the sea. Other examples abound. Yeah, this paragraph here is just a brief sampling of everything you've seen just in the last few weeks. Okay, so it's not like if you were to close your eyes and I was to tell you these things were happening without naming where they were, like, would you think this was happening today, or would you say like, oh no, this is something that happened in World War II era Germany? I mean, think about it. So it says there are many reasons for this dire state of affairs. First, the chickens of once fringe leftist ivory tower piffle, such as critical theory and intersectionality, have come home to roost in a very menacing way. The avant-garde leftism of a half century ago has led many to now justify or outright cheer on genocide perpetrated against the most genocided people in world history. As this column observed during the last major Israel Hamas conflict in May 2021, the American left and the media organs it controls are exporting their paroxysms of 1619 Project Rage onto a foreign stage, expiating their white guilt sins and armchair quarterbacking a foreign conflict on a cosplayed chessboard. And if you don't know what the 1619 Project is, for anybody out there, go check it out. It's basically revisionist history written by a writer, and I use that with scare quotes, named Nicole Hannah Jones, who I think still works for the New York Times, who just decided to essentially make up a history that essentially says like, what's it called? That slavery began on it at 1619, like when the first ships landed here, or something to that effect. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but it's nonsense, and uh, even leftist scholars have called her out and said like this is a bunch of bullshit. So it's something that's not very highly regarded, but it has unfortunately made its way into American school systems, and there are school systems in New York that teach this as actual history when it's very much not. But again, go look it up for yourself. don't listen to me. So it's all just fun and games, no matter how many eggs are broken to make the omelet, to paraphrase Stalin apologist New York Times bureau chief Walter Durante. And again, it's a dude you should go look up and see the things that he did. But there is a second lesson from the past few weeks, in addition to the harrowing real world consequences of obscure leftist academic theories, the complete and total failure of mass migration. Yeah, and I mean, I was always someone that's like, I'm not a fan of illegal immigration, but legal, yeah, sure, fine. I don't take issue with that at all. If it's against the law, don't do it. If it's within the law, fine, sort of thing. But we're importing a lot of people in this country that do not like our values, and that is starting to become a problem, as we've seen the last few weeks. It says for years, liberals and globalists have pushed for open-ended migration of people across borders, as if borders are entirely arbitrary, if not outright atavistic, and all cultures and ways of life are interchangeable. As the West grapples with the very radical Muslims it voluntarily imported, hundreds of thousands of whom march in the streets of metropolises such as London and Chicago calling for Jewish genocide, and thousands of others of whom lead vile Students for Justice in Palestine, which I think is pretty close, if not actually is uh, a terrorist. I should say adjacent group. That's the word I'm looking for, is adjacent. Statements praising the Hamas massacre as a liberation of stolen land. It has become obvious that assimilation of huge numbers of non-Western immigrants into Western society is simply not working. Unfortunately, I would agree with that. I mean, the thing is, when I feel like when you move to a new country, you shouldn't just keep doing all the stuff you were doing in the old country. Like, you need to assimilate into the culture of the new country. Like, if I was to go to a friend's house and I like wear my shoes inside my own house and I go to their house and like they tell me to take off my shoes, I'm not going to be like, no, I'm still going to keep wearing my shoes around your house. Like, it's their rules. Like, you're in a different place. Like, you need to assimilate to the rules of the place you're going to. You can still keep your religion. You can still keep pieces of what you there's no problem with that, but you should be trying to assimilate into the new area that you've come to. The shocking new poll found that 57.5% of American Muslims believe that the Hamas pogrom of October 7th was at least somewhat justified. That is simply disgusting. Yes, I mean, that number should be zero, to be honest, or minimal. It says Jewish day schools are canceling classes due to fear. The security needed at synagogues is now unprecedented. Jews all across America and Europe have not been this terrified since World War II. And the open borders dolts who have peddled the insane notion that all cultures are equal bear much of the blame. Yeah, and I mean, anybody with like the brain power of half of a retarded amoeba could have told you that not all cultures are equal and not everybody thinks the same way. And that's a problem. I mean, and like he said in the earlier in the article, the author that is, that liberals are the ones that are perpetuating it. It's like, no, they're just people. It's like, but they don't think the way we do. I mean, you can see in other countries things that these immigrants are doing, like what I'm thinking about, like stuff that we would look at and go, that's repulsive. Like, for example, there's a video that went viral from Italy, of an immigrant that took the cat because he was hungry on the street. Okay, and a lady's walked up to him, is like, basically like, what the hell are you doing? And the guy doesn't know what's wrong with it. Again, different mindset. There's also a video, or not a video, but there's a story, I think it was in upstate New York, of an immigrant that, I guess there was like, what they were, swans, like the town's swans, and everybody knew the swans. They were like the town symbol. And this one, it was a kid. He was like 16, 17 years old, something like that. He killed the swan and decided, like, because he just thought he could do it, and he got arrested for it. I mean, I don't remember the exact details, but go look it up. I mean, so this is the kind of stuff we're importing here. People that are just like, we're going to keep doing what we were doing in our own home, yeah, and not try to assimilate here to the rules where it says like, yeah, you can't do that. Anyway, back to the article, and it's almost done. I got a last paragraph here. It says many leading Islamists, such as the infamous blind sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman, long counseled immigration to the West as one of the most effective ways of spreading the global jihad. For decades, Western liberals have been all too eager to assist. Mass migration was always delusional. All cultures are obviously not equal, let alone interchangeable. Now, given the emboldened forces of jihadism the world over, it has never been more important to turn off the spigot. And for those subversive fifth column actors already here, deportation and denaturalization must be on the table as the law permits. There are monsters in our midst, and they must be dealt with accordingly. So, like I said, I thought this article was pretty profound. I thought I'd bring it up to all you guys out there that end up listening to it, all three of you, but still, three is better than zero. And, just, see what's happening right in front of our faces here. And what do you think about this? I mean, do you think something needs to be done? And I mean, like what it says down here at the end, don't get crazy. Like just you know, deportation and denaturalization must be on the table as the law permits. That's all I'm saying. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.